What's up everyone, Josiah back here for another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you all how to jump a bike. Now, I'm on a BMX bike, but I feel like all of these techniques can be applied to any sort of bike. Had a few people request this one after making the how to bunny hop video. Watching that how to bunny hop video is going to teach you the motion that you're going to need to do off of a ramp. So while you don't need to bunny hop, it is pretty much the same motion when you go off of a ramp. So would recommend going and checking out that video. I'll try to put it right here for you guys to click on, but if not, it'll be at the end of the video and probably in the description. So make sure you give that a watch and let's get to this. So first things first, you're gonna wanna find a ramp that you're comfortable with. So I feel like a bank is like the perfect place to start out. Something like this over here, just a nice bank. It might be a little bit intimidating because of how big it is, but trust me, it's really not that bad because it's so mellow. If you're more comfortable with something smaller, you could find a curb like this and you can start out here. I think this is where we're gonna start too. This is a pretty good starting point, so I'm just gonna do a couple jumps off of this and walk you guys through it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna ride up the ramp. You're gonna squat down when you're approaching the takeoff. And then once you start going up the ramp, you're gonna lean back, pulling on your bars to get that front end off the ground. And then you're gonna barely lean forward. You're mainly shifting your weight upward and sort of jumping. You're not actually like jumping off of your pedals, but you're just shifting your weight upward. That way you can get some air off the ramp. Also make sure you keep your cranks level. Mine were kind of moving here, but that's just because I was pedaling to try to get some more speed. The faster you go, the less you're gonna have to pull up, the less your front end's gonna drop when you go off the jump. So honestly, going faster, although it's scarier, it is gonna be a little bit easier. You barely have to do anything to jump off a curb like this when you carry some speed. One thing you need to be careful of though, when you're starting out, I've seen a lot of beginners make this mistake. You're gonna wanna try to keep your handlebars as straight as possible. I've seen a lot of people go to do their first jump, and then once they get off the ground, they sort of lock up and they'll have their bars a little bit turned, and then when they land, they lose control because the bike just starts turning very sharply and they usually get sort of bucked off the side of the bike. So just be mindful of that. Try to go completely straight off the ramp, especially when you're just starting. All right, next up, we're gonna go to a little bit bigger obstacle here. We got a small bank that we're working with. I really like the idea of people learning how to jump a bike off of banks, just because it's nice and mellow. It's really not that bad. It might be a little bit scarier than something like a curb, but it's gonna teach you a little bit more than a curb will. It's gonna be more realistic to what sort of obstacles you might run into at a skate park. So for this obstacle, you're gonna wanna obviously carry a lot more speed, but it's the same concept. You're gonna ride up, you're gonna approach the bank in a squatted, like athletic position. Then once you reach about halfway up the bank, you're gonna start to pull back and then do like a little bit of a jump. Just shift your weight upward. You don't want very much weight on your pedals when you're going off this. Otherwise, you're not gonna get much air. All right, so here we can see that I roll up towards the bank in that squatted position we talked about. And then once I reach the top of the bank, I lean back, but only very slightly, only enough so that I can really tug on the bars and get that front end off the ground. And then from there, I shift my weight upwards, which you can see as my body extends, I'm relieving the pressure from my pedals and on the bank, and I'm shifting it upwards, ready to go into the air and do a big jump. And then once I'm in the air, you can tuck your knees a little bit. That'll give you a little bit more height. But also when you do a bigger jump like this, and if you really pull hard and get that front end off the ground, you're gonna need to level the bike out to have a proper landing, and you just do that by basically extending your arms outward and leveling out the bike. And then here I just want you to notice that when I go fast, I don't have to put as much effort to get the bike off the ground. And then here, when I'm going slow, I really have to put a lot of effort into getting the bike off the ground. I pretty much have to just do a bunny hop like you would on flat ground. Since the skate park I was at doesn't really have any quarter pipes or flyouts or any really steep ramps, we're back at my house where I have this ramp built. We're gonna show you all how to jump a ramp like this. You can apply the same techniques to a flyout as well. We also have a little bit of a gap, so we'll talk about how to go about doing that as well. For ramps, even though they look really intimidating, they're actually pretty easy. You can honestly get away with literally just hanging onto your bike and rolling off the top of it. But that won't allow you to go very high, and it won't allow you to have very much control. So you're gonna wanna work on having control off the top of this thing. First off, I'm just gonna show you all that you can literally just ride off the top of it. So I'm just gonna do pretty much nothing. I'm just gonna squat down, I'm gonna carry some speed, and I'm just gonna roll off the top of this thing. Now, obviously, that's not gonna be the ideal way to learn how to jump higher or learn how to do tricks or whatnot, but it does go to show that you can literally just roll off a ramp and you'll be fine. But now I'm gonna show you the more ideal way to jump a ramp, which is gonna be applying the same exact thing that we've done before. You're gonna do that bunny hop motion, but with a steep ramp like this, you don't have to do as much. You're just gonna, squat down, roll up to the ramp, and shift your weight upward like we talked about, get that weight off the bike. That's gonna allow you to go really high in the air. With the steeper the ramp, the bigger the ramp, the less work you have to do. You don't have to bunny hop off of this thing really hard like we did off of the bank or off of the curb. So on that jump, it probably looked a lot different. I got a lot more height that time, and I probably looked like I was in more control than I was when I was just rolling off, or at least hopefully that's the case. That's probably the ideal way to jump a ramp, because that'll give you a lot of air time. It'll give you a lot of control. That way you can learn how to do tricks. And even if you don't know how to do tricks, it'll allow you to go higher and make your jumps look better. You can notice that I stayed squatted all the way up onto the ramp until the ramp starts curving up. And then I kind of open it up a little bit. And I do that jumping motion that I've talked about, where you shift your weight upward. And also notice on this one that I didn't lean back and lock my arms out, because on a ramp this steep, you're already gonna be at a pretty steep angle going off of it. And so if you lean back, you're gonna go like you're gonna backflip almost. So with a steep ramp like that, you're gonna wanna have your body weight shifted forward more over the bars. Not too far, just a little bit. That way you can level out in the air. Also notice though, even though I didn't lean back, my arms still straightened out because I was shifting my weight upwards. So that's the ideal way to jump a ramp. It'll take a little bit of practice, but you can think of it as just, you want to become one with the ramp. You don't want to fight the ramp. You want to assist your bike in going off of it. So basically shifting your weight upwards so that you can help your bike go up and off of the ramp. So now we're going to talk about jumping over a gap like this here. It can be pretty intimidating, but there is a little trick that you can use to jump a gap for the first time until you get more comfortable with it. Basically, you're going to do what we call pushing through the ramp. You're basically going to stay squatted. You're going to sort of you're going to fight the ramp. So it's basically the opposite of what I've been telling you to do. You're going to try to push through the ramp, squat down, and push your arms out through the ramp. I'll show you all now. You can see, instead of shifting my weight upward and straightening my arms out, I did pretty much the opposite. I stayed squatted through it. I leaned over the top of the bike and pushed the front end over. Although that's not really the ideal way to jump, it's great for clearing gaps for the first time. I haven't really talked about landing yet either, so we're gonna go through that real quick. In order to land smoothly, ideally you're gonna wanna land back tire first. So let's say you go up off the ramp, you're going up, and you start falling down towards the landing. Right before you get to the landing, your legs should straighten out. Don't have them completely locked. That's never a good idea, but you will wanna have them straight. And as soon as your back tire hits the ground, you're gonna start bending your knees and absorbing that impact, just like you would if you were to jump off something just on your feet. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for this one. I hope this helped teach you how to jump a bike. Just remember, like all things with BMX and riding bikes, It takes a lot of practice before you're gonna get used to it, but with enough time, it's gonna feel like second nature to you. But that's gonna be it for this one. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully it taught you something. Please make sure to drop me a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.